Are you recently single, or perhaps you've been single for a long time and you're struggling to find other guys to go out with, meet, and improve your life together? I know for myself, that was a huge issue for me. Even when I was in my early 20s, I had a bunch of friends who were single, but none of them wanted to talk about self-improvement, game, development. And when I'd bring it up with them, they'd feel kind of like they'd make me feel weird about it. And back in the day when I was, this is almost probably 20 years ago or so, the only thing out there were these weird sort of, call them layers, seduction community layers, like Yahoo group chats and a bunch of weird guys running around and doing weird stuff. And now we've solved that thanks to Game Global. And my guest today is Ice White, who founded Game Global. And I'm excited for this interview because I'm very nostalgic about the whole sort of industry. I've been in it since 2006, and I've seen all sorts of trends and things come and go. And in the last, I don't know, I guess it's felt like 5 or 6 years, I've seen the rise of your group, and so many guys are connecting on there and meeting other guys. And I think that's one of the biggest barriers to improvement is finding other guys you can do this stuff with, because this is, you can't improve solo. So welcome to the show.
Thanks. 20 years. That's kind of crazy. You've been in that for so long. That's good.
Yeah. You're listening to the Inner Confidence Podcast. My name is Robbie Kramer. I've been a coach since 2007, and I've helped countless men rapidly achieve all of their social and dating goals. My mission is simple: to help you position yourself to meet stunning women, make awesome friends, en route to becoming the most confident and attractive version you can possibly be. I'm absolutely obsessed with giving you the most leveraged ways possible to win the game, so stick around, let's go. So we're together in another group, like a WhatsApp group, with a bunch of dating coaches in the space, and not just dating coaches, I guess, but confidence people and image people. Well, no, it's mostly just dating coaches, right? But it's almost like a little mastermind of its own. And we pool ideas together, and it's cool to see what everyone else is working on. And so when I saw you in there, I'm like, there's so many guys that even have come through my community that have potentially, that use Game Global or have met other guys on Game Global. First, how did you get into the whole sort of, improvement manosphere, whatever you want to call it? And then tell me how you started Game Global also.
A long story short, 10 years ago, was eavesdropping on a conversation between two nerds. And as it just so happens, and one of these guys was talking about a book called The Game by Neil Strauss, of course, and it was going straight over the other guy's head. I knew who the other guy was, and the person who was talking about this book, I didn't know him so much, but it was going straight over this guy's head, and I was like pulled into the conversation because it was just so interesting. Just me eavesdropping on it, just hearing it from a short distance. So I just jumped in there and absorbed what he was talking about, and then this guy essentially gave me the book. And then I'm not much of a reader. Back then, I probably only read, like, aside from whatever high school assigned you to read, I probably only read like 2 books in my entire life. Maybe like one of those Russian books about Siberian prisons, like One Day in the Life of Ivan Denisovich or something like that.
The Gulag Archipelago or something.
And like one other book, whatever that may have been. So classic me, I don't read books, but I was like, okay, there's like a compelling reason to look into that. Now, I didn't have the compelling reason from a place of I need to learn how to get women, because I had no problem with that. My problem was keeping a woman. So I had plenty of relationships before that point, and I had just actually had a breakup quite shortly before this was happening. So I was the guy in high school, for example, who I got all these random examples and stories from way before I knew anything about the game, before I knew about the book. For example, something I forgot about until my wife reminded me a few months ago. When I was like 15 or something, I had a girlfriend who was 17. I would go to her place on Fridays after high school, and I would go with 2 bags. So people would ask me on Fridays, "Why you got 2 bags, Ice?" And one was a big, like a normal school bag. One was just a smaller one. And it's because I would spend the weekend at this 17-year-old girl's place. And everyone was like, God damn, this guy's a fucking pimp and shit like that.
Dude, that's hard to do in high school. Dating the older girls is like next to impossible. That's big pimping right there.
Yeah, it was like she's beyond. She graduated fucking high school, and I was still in it. She was two years older than me. And what made that matter even worse was she was the cousin of someone in one of my classes. So everyone like kind of bullied that guy, and I wasn't like the most popular one. I just like mixed between the nerds and like all kinds of groups. I was just the everybody guy for some reason. Maybe I'm just like so weird. I could just have so much fluidity. Like that's the kind of reputation I had. And by the end of high school or whatever, I was like one of three guys or something who actually had a girlfriend at some point or whatever. There
Yeah.
weren't many guys who were in relationships back then. So I didn't come into it from the perspective of I never had a girlfriend before or I'm a virgin or something like that. I lost my virginity when I was still an early on teenager. So I was way ahead of the curve compared to the stories I kind of get even to this day. But where Global came along from the book, The Game, there were mentions of something called real social dynamics. So that was like one of the first things I looked into after reading half the book or all the
Right.
book or something, found them on YouTube, of course. And one
Well,
thing led to another, and I ended up working with those guys.
oh, okay. You worked with RSD. Interesting.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
and I did a lot of events with them and assisted boot camps, for example. And
What years were this?
between 2016 and then basically their end in like 2018.
So this was like high time of RSD Nation.
This was like the last 3 years, basically.
Okay.
And then they shut everything down like at the end of 2018.
Did you ever meet Max Torno?
Yeah, of course. He was like he was the first one I started working with actually.
I know it because we lived in Kiev in the same time. And it's funny. We would meet the same girls, all the girls. I mean, oh, have you met Max? Blah, blah. So there's a lot of crossover because, Kiev's not that big of a place. So,
Never been there. But yeah, like he was the first guy, and then second person I remember in order as far as I know was probably Luke and then Ozzy, something like that. So I started assisting boot camps with Ozzy, and whenever someone would come in hosting a boot camp in the city I was living in at the time, they would host the events with me. I'll basically arrange everything because they saw me as the community guy. And that's kind of where Game Global came from because after RST shut down their groups, all that was left behind was the people. And
right.
people looked to me to do something about it. And naturally, because I'm a leader and I do things for the sake of doing them just because it seems logical. The logical thing for me was to create a few groups like Game New York, Game Los Angeles, Game London, Game Las Vegas, Game Moscow. Those were among the first few in Barcelona, maybe. And then more and more people were demanding more cities. Like we need Berlin, we need Warsaw, and so on. And then one thing led to another until we had 310 cities. So we got
Jesus.
310 right.
Where were you living when this stuff went down?
By the end of the RSD thing, I was living between Nova Scotia and London. I was studying at university in London for 2 or 3 years, I would say. And then I moved to Peru for the first time in 2019.
And where are you from originally?
Nova Scotia.
Really? Nova Scotia. Okay. I've been there once on like a family cruise.
There were like three things that happened. Never heard of it, or like I went near there once for like something like that.
Right.
Like I asked Mystery about it. He said, "Yeah, I went there one time, and there's like not much else you see."
There was a Titanic museum we went to.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Because it's pretty much Newfoundland and Nova Scotia. It's pretty much the closest to it.
Yeah. I've heard there's a lot of good golf there too.
It's nothing but fucking golf courses, man.
Really?
Trees and shit.
I'm coming. What was it like? Like, what was the social scene like there?
rednecks.
Okay.
You know, I come from the middle of fucking nowhere, so I was on a panel on playing with fire last week, and there was a guy asking in the chat for us to answer questions. Like what should I do? Like what's better, living next to the nightclub or walking 15 minutes away? I'm like, "Man, what are you talking? I used to pull women 2 fucking miles through the middle of fucking nowhere,
Through the
and it
snow.
wasn't even that I started fucking hard mode and it was no fucking problem. And this guy's worried about like trying to pull her 15 minutes away. I'm like, I had to, for me, walking distance, 2 miles or whatever it was like 30 minutes.
Yeah.
But when there's a woman with me, because I'm 6'2", it comes down to like 40, 45 minutes, or if she's really fucking slow.
And if she's wearing the heels that you've got over your right shoulder there, then she'll take even longer. So when you got involved with RSD, you got out of Nova Scotia and moved to New York or London, you said?
No, London, yeah.
Okay.
New York, I spent a little bit of time there, but that's a slightly different thing.
Gotcha. Yeah. I mean, London, especially around that time, all the London day game guys. I spent a decent amount of time in London too. And great city, obviously.
Oxford Street, of course, you would know it if you've been there.
Yep.
It's the most stressful place for me because I'm like, why can't anyone walk in a straight fucking line? It's just nothing but annoying tourist people.
Oh,
And then
man.
you'll see like 5 to 15 day gamers if you just walk straight for like 30 minutes or something.
That's how the Third Street Promenade used to be in Santa Monica.
Even back in like 2017 or something, I would have guys just like spot me and like come up to me and like, hey, what's going on? I'm like, whoa, who are they? Just know me from the community and stuff like that. But yeah, funny spot. But I would generally avoid that because I was never like a spam approach day gamer. I wasn't my type of thing. My thing was more message game, night game, and social circle game almost entirely.
Yeah.
But that's not to say like, oh, he's not a day gamer. Like some people believe that, but they just don't comprehend that I just do it differently. Like some people think day game is just like, let me just go out on the busiest street in New York, or let's just go to Washington Square Park and spam approach. That's not day game. That's spam approach day game.
Spam approach. Yeah.
Like the real day game is like you're doing the things in your life normally. You're in the subway in New York or the London Underground. Just start talking to people because you're on the way somewhere, like on the way to work or university.
Yeah, it should be natural like that. It should be spontaneous, not this thing that you go out and I think a lot of the uber geeks that come into the community are very attracted to day game because they're like, it's free. I don't have to drink. I don't have to go to clubs and I can just go and, spam approaches and yeah, that's the wrong energy to have. I mean, it can help for getting over approach anxiety maybe, but other than that, the girls can tell pretty quickly that like you're that guy. So
Yeah, we'd be doing some strange studies on this. We found that day game is actually the least effective pillar of game in terms of success rate.
even compared to traditional online dating.
Yeah, of course, because well, the thing with that is there's a misunderstanding. Like you can just call it online dating, but isn't social media online dating too?
Right.
So the best way to phrase it is actually message game, night game, day game, social circle game, because the way that message game is defined, it's online dating, dating apps and websites for online dating,
Right.
which are designed in that particular way. Social media, which is more expansive, and messaging itself, so free aspects there,
Right.
and that actually has the highest success rate. And it's not really surprising to me because there's a Stanford study by Michael J. Rosenfeld. I'm connected to him on LinkedIn. We spoke briefly a few times. And every few years, they do this study at Stanford where they identify in the USA specifically how heterosexual couples actually meet each other over the decades. And you can
Hmm.
see like since the 1940s or something up to 2020, 2025, it went from like
Social
what
circle, I'm
we,
sure.
yeah,
Right.
social circle basically, but they define it as through friends, through family, through
Right.
church.
Right.
That all that went down. Bars went down and then kind of stayed somewhere because it's a bit mixed because some people would meet on the internet and then they would meet at the bar. So it
Yeah.
doesn't add up to 100% necessarily.
Well, there was this crazy period from about 2000-ish to 2010 where bar game, club game was kind of at its peak. And that's when I got in the game, like 2005. But I turned 21 in 2001. And, obviously social circle was still the way most people got together. But, you go to a bar in San Diego or LA, New York, and it was just, that's where people went to like hook up and to meet. And so that's what I learned first. I learned like bar game and traditional like shit from the game, basically, like how to walk up to a girl in the bar and, do your thing and all that. And then when Tinder got popular in like 2012, I think, then you'd see people basically like meeting in the bar, on a date, obviously, that they met through Tinder. And then that totally spiked. And then I felt like there was a period where day game was really effective once it's like girls would go to the bar, they get hit on ruthlessly by so many dudes. And then day game worked a bit better because that didn't happen as often. And then I saw the pendulum switch where so many guys were learning day game that girls were just like, okay, this is another day gamer. And then that's probably why it's the most ineffective these days. But I've seen that as well. But go on with the study. What else was what were
Yeah,
the
it's
other
either a
findings?
charity worker or a day gamer. Get the fuck away from me.
Exactly.
If it's uncalibrated. Yeah, like we released 2 weeks ago an article showing the pillars of game by success rate, effectiveness, essentially. Like how many guys who have ever done it have actually got laid because of it.
Mm-hmm.
And day game is the last one, and message game number one. And joint, like in between that is net game and social circle game, but it has the same result. But I'm kind of concerned that some people don't understand the full extent of social circle game. So I kind of perceive that social circle game comes second because I don't think people realize, hey, if you hooked up with a woman from high school or university or something or workplace, that is social circle game, but I don't think people realize that kind of thing. A few weeks ago, I released a video where I was reacting to or telling the story about how I read a Reddit post, and this guy was saying he did 1,500 approaches and got laid 0 times and went on like 0 dates or something. And that's not even the worst I heard in the last few days. In the last 1 or 2 weeks, I made an announcement calling for people to come forward if they're having similar results. And I had multiple guys within a matter of hours come to me saying they have done 10,000 approaches, 11,000 approaches, or even close to 20,000. And they got like maybe they got 1 or 2 dates and they didn't get laid, or they got 0 dates and they also didn't get laid. And I was like, that's just crazy to me because, hey,
That's
I was
so
getting
much time
laid
invested.
before I ever did cold approach. So
Yeah.
it's this very weird thing where I think there's something to solve for these guys who are at the very bottom, stuck in this spam approach mindset. And I found one observation so far. We haven't found so many people so far, but we found like a small bunch of guys. And one similarity in every single case is they're all doing direct game. So
Yeah.
one theory I'm having so far, which I had before this was happening anyway, is that direct game, you're putting yourself in the position of being rejected. Whereas if you do indirect game, for example, just to help you guys watching visualize this, if you invite her to something like, hey, you want to come along to this mansion party, or it doesn't have to be a fancy mansion party. You want to come along to this milkshake place I'm going to, for example. Whatever it may be, you're inviting her. You're putting the opportunity in the position of being rejected or not instead of yourself. Whereas if you're doing direct game, you're putting yourself in the position to be rejected. So, of course, like a woman, you just come up to her and say, would you like to have sex with me? Obviously, that's not what these guys are doing. But if you put it in a nutshell, like super extreme terms,
Yeah.
like, of course, like it wouldn't be surprising that she's rejecting that because she doesn't know a damn thing about you or not enough information, and you haven't made an opportunity out of it. You just made it about your confession of love to her, and she
Right.
just doesn't know how to respond to that.
And these noobs usually have terrible tonality, terrible body language. They have no idea. And they're asking her to make a decision like, hey, I saw you. You're so beautiful. Blah, blah, blah. And they make it awkward. And of course, she's going to reject that. Right. It's just too easy. Oh, sorry, I have a boyfriend.
It's not her first rodeo. It's crazy the kind of shit that we see at this point. But yeah, like ultimately, the point of this is to get to the bottom of like what is going wrong for the guys who are getting the worst results.
Mm-hmm.
Then we can publish some information about that that could help guys who are in the same position. At the same time, in a way, I wouldn't exactly call it coaching, but it's like I'm not taking money from any of these guys, and if they do offer money, I'm going to refuse. I'm kind of like going to drop a few hints here and there. What do you call it? Like make some pointers because I want to give them some missions like once a week, for example. This is super new so far to see if there are certain changes they can make that do have an impact on their results. So it's just having little implemented changes over time. This is going to be a very long-term thing just to find out what is happening with the guys who are doing this completely wrong, who are not getting the results that other people are getting.
Yeah, I usually tell guys who come to me and they've done a ton of approaching and they haven't had success. I'll tell them to go back and stop doing direct approach, do social freedom sort of exercises where you just go up and you're trying to elicit either a reaction or response and then desensitize yourself to that. You know, for example, like asking someone for change, you're going to get rejected. A lot of the time, you're going to feel like shit about it, but you're not going to care as much, right? And then maybe you go up and ask for the time or directions, or you bow at people or you lay down on the sidewalk, but you're effectively conditioning yourself to care less about the outcome. One of my favorite ones was to go up to a girl in a bar or a club or something and be like, hey, can you do me a favor and just tell me to fuck off? But like really mean it, you know? So she'll be like, fuck off. Like, no, you didn't really mean it. Do it stronger. And then she'd fuck off. Oh, amazing. Thank you. Then, walk away. And that just sort of gets them out of this sort of hunter mentality where they're like trying to do it right a lot of the time. And that can be helpful. So, but yeah, that's the worst when guys get really sort of hyper focused on learning direct day game and it doesn't work. And then they just try harder and harder. And they like their vibe is just always off and they're not looking there. They're always looking at like the more superficial stuff. Like, what am I saying? Or what angle am I approaching at? And it's like, bro, you're missing the mark here.
Very interesting you said that because the metaphor I use for this is tunnel vision. They got tunnel vision on like this is the one way to do it, and they'll make maybe a little adjustment here, like oh, is it my voice or whatever, but they don't see the bigger picture of hey, I could do something more indirect, or I could talk about something else,
Yeah,
or just the other possibilities.
totally. So you were at RSD doing stuff with them. How did you develop like all of these relationships to then start these Game Global communities?
It's just natural to me, I guess. Like I just do things. I
Mm-hmm.
have no way to explain it. About 20 years ago, I was starting off as a game developer and I was networking there and became friends with some famous game developers, like solo independent game developers. And I just saw it even back then as climbing a ladder. And I have always kind of seen it like that because who if I just sit in my room and do nothing, like nothing happens. I'm just obsessed with doing things and I'm just driven by experimentation and what if I do this? I don't even have like an end purpose some of the time. It's like
Yeah.
I'm gonna write this article because I want to, and then maybe something interesting happens out of it. Like for example, if we take our content on YouTube back in 2023, 2.5 years ago, I started a debate series. First debate I ever did, 20 minutes in, Dan Bilzerian showed up on my Zoom call. And I didn't plan on that happening, but because of the people I invited, one of them is a friend of Dan Bilzerian, just happened to invite him.
Michael
And this
Sartain
opened
or
up
someone else?
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
exactly. It was a debate between Michael Sartain and Marcus Wolf. I just wanted to do a
Oh,
debate
was
so I could
that the
get
social
content for the
circle
channel.
versus cold approach? I
Yeah,
think I
yeah,
saw that. Yeah.
that became quite a ridiculously hilarious and entertaining one, but
Yep.
it was at the time it was very stressful. But I just do things for the sake of it. I was like, this could be a good idea. And then it could lead to another thing that you don't even expect is going to happen. So just because of that one debate, I ended up going to Las Vegas for free, had a meeting at Dan Bilzerian's mansion. I went to Access for free, a bunch of our like Omnia too. And in Encore, what's the other name of it? Win
Yeah.
before getting into Access, there were a bunch of guys who saw me coming in and recognized me because of that video. I was like, it only has like 6,000 views. It's kind of crazy. Everyone's here.
Was it part of like a MOA boot camp or something?
Kind of. There were
Yeah.
some guys there to do with that, some guys who weren't, mixed bag, but it was certainly funny. A bit of context on top of that, I had just walked all the way from the Strat to Encore because my phone it didn't run out of data, but it had this glitch, so I just couldn't connect to the internet anymore. And because of how Las Vegas is, like you have to specifically go into a building to get Wi-Fi. I'm like, I don't have fucking time for that. I got to fucking
It's a couple miles
march
away.
all the way. Yeah,
Yeah.
I could feel the bones in my fucking feet, and I was like, the one time my phone stops fucking working, giving me data for no
Brutal.
fucking reason.
I spent a lot of time in Vegas. I used to play semi, well, I wouldn't call it professional poker, but I used to make enough side money playing poker that I didn't have to work. So that was a lot of Vegas trips. It was a 4 hour drive from SoCal. So
Crazy. Like I must be like, obviously not, but I must be like the only person people know who has gone to Vegas and came out with more money without gambling. It's kind of funny.
by walking and not spending money on Ubers through
Yeah, I
downtown
was so
Vegas.
fucking busy, but and it gave me like business opportunities just being there.
Well, I've noticed that about you in our dating coach super friends group is you're one of the most vocal people in terms of like, here's an idea or what about this? You drive conversation. You bring people together, like the monetization meeting you host each week. Most people just kind of lurk or they don't really contribute or they'll say something if you speak to them. But, I call these people like you connectors because you're out there, you're pushing stuff forward, you're getting people to communicate. And it's pretty rare to find. In fact, when you do find a connector, usually if you can become friends with that guy, it'll open a lot of social channels. One of my best buddies, his name's Jesse, him and I were always, wingmen and sort of like a duo, but he was always the guy introducing me to other people more so.
Interesting. I love the way you put that because I only ever had like my version of understanding it, but I'm that's giving me more ideas. I kind of see it as like you have to be an opportunist, but at the same time, it frustrates me when I don't see like the same I see myself in others. Like I just see opportunity everywhere and I act on it because it's the sensible thing. I just can't help myself.
Right.
It's the only thing I can do. I see an opportunity. Hey, like there's something to be done here. And I know nobody else is going to step up because a lot of people simply don't. So
Yeah.
I just fucking do it. I just see opportunity everywhere.
They call you people early adopters and also idea terrorists. It's like, here's an idea, let's do it. I'd always accuse my buddy of that because it's like, oh, look, you can make money on Airbnb. Let's do that. And we started doing that early and it was great. And then, oh, look, you could make money on relay rides, which is now Turo by renting out cars. Let's do that. Not as good of an idea, but it's just like everything you can do, he would do it quickly, which is, execution is everything. And speed of execution is everything. But it's hard to find people like you guys. So
At the same time, the disadvantage is after however many years, you'll end up with 1,000 ideas that you have written down, and you can only act on 100 of them. So it's
right.
like, and even if you do want to narrow it down to like 50, you're like, oh, there's so much I have to do, and stuff like that. It's kind of funny. But
You might be coming into your golden age because pretty soon with AI, you might be able to deploy all of these ideas with like a click of the button. And
That has started happening actually with one project. So I used to, in a nutshell, like quick story, I wrote the book The Message Game in 2019, released it in 2020. And the years after that, people were coming to me, paying me for sending me screenshots. I give them what to respond with and some extra context. And then by the time the AI boom came in late 2022, 2023, I had multiple guys come to me with proposals in one day saying I should turn myself into an AI with this message game advice. And I was like, well, because multiple people came to me in one fucking day, I have to fucking do it.
Right?
So, like, that's what the QR code is here. It's message game AI. And I essentially just outsourced myself into an AI version of myself. So it became more scalable instead of people waiting hours for me to reply because I'm so busy or I'm sleeping or something like that. It solved a lot of problems. And that's just one thing. So
Yeah, I know you've got the message game course. I'm going to drop the link in the description for that too. And I've got a couple guys in my group testing it out. They've had positive reviews, I think. So, real quick, if you're a divorced guy trying to figure out modern dating, I put together something special for you. It's called the Social Funnel Method, and it's a 5-day free email course I made just for guys like you, guys who want to date high quality women and build a lifestyle that actually feels good again. You'll learn exactly what works today, not 10 years ago, and how to stand out in a world of dating apps, ghosting, and Instagram. Head over to innerconfidence.com/start to get step 1 sent straight to your inbox. It's totally free. Go do it now, and let's rebuild your dating life in the right way. I'm curious, when you kind of spun up Game Global, I'm still really interested in like how it expanded and how it started growing city by city. Like, what do you think was the catalyst for that? And obviously it's free, right? And you kind of filled a void once RSD effectively left the market, right? There was this void of where do people gather, where do people meet to exchange ideas and to meet people, and how did it grow into sort of the beast it is today?
in the moment, it was necessity, and in hindsight, it was opportunity. Yeah, essentially, one catalyst I can say is just my huge amount of competence, if I may say so myself. Because you have to be someone who makes things happen. You have to be, for something of this scale, of this usefulness, someone has to fucking step up. And I saw even back then, before RSD kind of plummeted and disappeared off the radar, what other people were doing with their groups. Like they would completely 360 or 180 on their thing. Like they'll go from dating advice to this is now a Bitcoin group. I'm like, what are you doing?
What?
So like they're killing the community,
Yeah,
and I wanted to preserve it. So my mission was to preserve it. People acknowledged that was my mission. And I just became a conquistador in a sense because I kind of colonized all these cities. And at the same time, I kind of attacked other groups because they were turning their back on their original purpose. So that kind of helped too.
mm,
And the idea for the entirety of this was to centralize everything because I did not like the incompetence and this stupidity of having a bunch of groups from a bunch of guys who don't know how to connect everything together. Like there'll just be a WhatsApp group for Toronto from one person, and then they'll just stop moderating it, and then spammers would come in, and there'll
right.
be a WhatsApp group in Berlin, and then like that would die out, and people be looking for wingman in another city, but they don't know where to go. Like, hey, guys, like the logical idea is just build fucking everything, build it, and they will come, and everything will be connected together. You need to move to another city. You don't have to fucking think about it. It's all in the same page,
Right.
all in the same website. It's all connected, interconnected. And then naturally that came to have bigger and bigger gravitational pull. And it also helped having a website for that too.
Yeah, is the platform mainly people interacting through the Telegram channels?
Yeah, so it comes in essentially two forms, or I guess we can say 4 now. So there's Reddit, but that's not cities, that's just generic. There's school, which is for everyone, and now there's a new school feature where you can check on the map and see where everyone is generally within a
Hmm.
few mile radius. And then where the bulk of it is for the cities, every city has a Facebook group and a Telegram group. The Facebook groups are less populated almost in every case because Facebook isn't so popular in some countries than others. And Telegram is where the in the now activity happens. Facebook is just more for like there's an event in a few months, so we're just gonna put like the details there kind of thing. And then people use the Telegram group for meeting up and general discussions and stuff like that.
Yeah, I've noticed the guys are mostly meeting guys through Telegram from what I've heard in my group. So, and then how often are you running events, and what are those events consisting of?
Well, personally, I live in the desert city of Lima, so I'm not where like all the Americans are exactly. The events are happening in other places, and other people are running them. So it became this thing where, in a lot of ways, it's not mine, it's everyone's, because that's how I wanted to design it. Like, if you want something to be super active, super useful, and super popular, then you're gonna have to inspire and encourage the passion of other people to run it with you. So we got guys running some of the cities like Paris, Las Vegas, Los Angeles, New York, and so on, even in Moscow and various other places. So those guys have the power to host their own meetups, day game meetups, and stuff like that. Or we got a structure for it. So we got a very strict format, so everything is like, I wouldn't say on brand because I designed it to be like kind of generic and like universal. So it's not like we're McDonald's and then there are competitors, but it's for everyone. So if there's a night game thing happening in Paris, it'll just be called Night Game Paris, and then
Hmm.
you can just the leader can go out and a bunch of guys can show up and they can just wing each other there every Friday. So those things are happening. But we also get this second layer we introduced in the last few years called game coaches. So it's effectively outsourcing the of what would be my clients to localized coaches who live in their city. So we got guys operating in places like Austin, New York, Houston, Chicago, a bunch of other places all over the planet, Budapest, London, places in Bali and stuff like that. Because I can't be everywhere at once, so it's the logical thing to have localized coaches who live in their city every 2 weeks offering a mini boot camp, and people can sign up for that. So it makes it more accessible and more affordable
Yeah,
and available throughout the year, of course. And if
right. That's a revenue stream for you, right? From an affiliate standpoint.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like instead of being a taxi driver, I could create Uber and everyone could be a taxi driver and I can get a minority of everyone's revenue.
Yeah,
And that way I get more money than one person normally would doing that whole career without needing to leave my office. So
exactly.
it that wasn't the intention at the very beginning, but like I said, one thing, I just do these things and then, oh, that's my business model now. So I'm pretty much, that's how I ended up positioning myself once it came to that, how I designed things.
Yeah, that's. I mean, it's the smarter way to go for sure, and being the Uber driver. So,
I need a dating coach right now. That's something.
yeah, Game Global is Uber for dating coaches. I guess you could say that's funny.
Yeah, Uber for wingman,
Yeah,
probably more
yeah,
accurate.
that's definitely more like it. So you're one of the other few guys like me, I guess, in this space that's married. How long have you been married?
For everyone watching, like some guys are just not ever gonna understand this, but I've been married for six years. It was 2019, November 2019. My wife is Peruvian. We met in Europe, so I'm not a passport. Calling me a passport bro is like I had a great metaphor for this, but I fucking forgot what it was. It was hilarious. I gotta fucking write it down next time. I was living in Europe at the time, and she was on vacation. So like that is not
Yeah.
I'm not a fucking passport bro, guys. I live here because I'm Jewish. I'm actually an atheist. I just say it
I'm
because
I'm
my
a
ancestors.
I'm a Jewish
I
atheist as well. That's funny.
I live here because it's cheaper
Not a
and the
fully.
food is good and shit like that. And my wife has cancer, so in case she dies, it's worth burying her here. So that's like
Oh
why I'm
wow.
here again. So that we went super dark there, but the thing that I get frustrated about is like, why should you be a dating coach when you're married? I'm like, why should you be a chef if you cook? Like, well, you're a fucking chef. You're a Michelin star chef. You know how to cook. If you're married and you can sustain a relationship, here's a better way to think about it. Like it should not be surprising to end up getting married or having your own family because you were dating. It's the same fucking thing.
Yeah.
People misunderstand this whole pickup thing as I need to have sex with 1,000 women for the rest of my life and just never have kids. Like imagine like I'm not religious or anything. I have no agenda or whatever. I'm not forcing people to do this, but imagine tens of thousands of years of your ancestors, of your family line, and you learn game, and the family line ends at you
Right.
because you don't have kids. Like you learned game and you didn't reproduce, and all your ancestors for tens of thousands of years didn't learn game, but they created
The
you, and
ultimate
you just
irony there.
you're the end. You're the end of your
You're the
family
loser.
history.
Yep.
Exactly. It's so funny. So, another way to put this is like the game isn't about having sex with endless amounts of women. Like, yes, that's fun. Yes, I recommend it. And yes, I did that. But at the same time, when you find the woman who's for you, that's when you know it's time to enter the next stage of game, what I call stage two of game. Dating is just stage one. Relationships are stage two. And then, as I like to say, stage three is family if you're reproducing, or if you're not, then you can call it legacy.
Hmm.
Because what is the game? The game isn't about women, it's about life, and it's your life, and you're the protagonist. That is why we call it game. You're in control, basically. If you think the whole thing is about women, then you misunderstand the entire point. It's simply
Yeah,
that
well
the
said.
biggest decision you're going to make in your life, as Warren Buffett said, is who you're going to marry. And that could save you hundreds of thousands of dollars potentially, in the case you get divorced versus you don't because you learned relationship game.
Yeah,
So it actually takes more game to be in a relationship than to just be dating around.
totally. Yeah, I mean, that decision is the number one dictator of your happiness, who you spend most of your time with, the quality of your companion.
It's a great conversation path to go down because if you go get into a relationship and you're miserable, your life's gonna fucking suck. So of course that's more important,
Yeah.
like in so many ways. And a lot of guys think that, hey, I'm coming back to the game because I was in a relationship for 6 years and we broke up. Now we're getting back into motherfucker, you were in the game the entire time. The mistake you made is you put it down. You
Right.
think it's this thing where you can put it on the shelf every time you get in a relationship. That's not the case. The problem a lot of guys have, even if they did learn game in the first place with dating, regardless whether they were a pickup artist before or they're just a normal person in society, they get into a relationship. Over time, the woman starts dominating and the
Yep.
man starts sitting back and relaxing more, just letting things happen. And then you wonder why eventually
She
you
cheats,
become
she
annoyed at
leaves.
each other.
Yeah.
She cheats on you. You get problems. Like I went to a pole dance mansion party on Saturday night with my wife, and most guys just wouldn't understand it. They'll be like, pole dancing is for prostitutes or some shit like that. The mansion is owned by the pole dance instructor. She's married. She has 2 kids. That's stage 3 of game.
Yeah.
And
It's a great workout, pole dancing.
she's not, exactly. She's not doing pole dancing to go to a fucking strip club. She's doing pole dancing to keep her love life alive, to
Yeah.
keep her flexible, to give her love life the spicy sexiness to keep things interesting. And that's one, although I was already aware of this in general, like always keep your love life interesting.
Well, guys have to remember that like what got them the girl in the first place, if they stop behaving in that way and they just fall asleep at the wheel and be like, whatever, I got her, now I can just chill. That's when you start to lose her, slowly but surely.
That's why there's this phrase in society called she wears the pants in a relationship. Like it's just so normal happening in so many relationships and people in general that the guys like fade into the background and then the woman becomes frustrated
Yeah.
or cheats or leaves or something like that because you stopped leading.
Yeah.
And this is another epiphany I had. At its very core, I believe game is basically just leadership because you need that in dating, you need that in relationships. And if you drop the ball, and the ball is game, and the ball is game is also leadership, you drop that ball of leadership of game, and your relationship's going to deteriorate, and she's going to start dominating because you're not fucking leading anymore.
I love that distinction because the guys who suck at game have no leadership skills. They're afraid to lead. They won't make decisions. They won't go after what they want. They won't do anything. And if you can teach a guy to just start being a leader, that's kind of the thing that'll carry him through, like you're saying. I love that.
This is what stops people from getting opportunities in dating in the first place because I see every single fucking day. I hate Reddit, but I have to go there for marketing purposes. People posting like, is she interested in me? Like you would know if she's interested in you if you were leading because hey, you actually gave her an opportunity to hang out with you. That's leading. Then you now you know she's interested.
Yeah.
Whereas they're trying to rely on, hey, she touched her here. Let me ask Reddit if she's interested in me, even if they weren't there, and I'll
Right.
fucking write random paragraphs of shit. Like if you were leading, you would find out if she's interested in you.
Because she'd have to make a
So
decision.
stop waiting for
Yeah.
her to lead by showing you that she's interested. And the other part of this coin is she's not interested in you because you're not leading in the first place.
Exactly.
So that's another concept that's kind of funny. But this recent epiphany of mine in terms of the love life, like I was always aware of this. Like I always keep things interesting. Like where this for me, we're gonna do photo shoots and stuff. Like the photo shoots we're doing, I'm posting some sexy shit. She's not in lingerie or anything. We're not doing this for OnlyFans. We're not doing this for money. We're doing this out of passion to keep things interesting. I like my women to wear certain things, good fashion, because fashion, I wouldn't say fashion is passion, but I would say fashion is for desire. That's something I came up with in the last few days, actually.
That's cool.
Women spend a lot of money, or makeover men spend a lot of money for fashion items like bags and stuff like that because of status. It's not like I could see a woman wearing $100,000 purse or something, and I'm like, that's lame. If it's genuinely sexy and it's worth $10, I'm more interested. So it's not about the status, it's about, is it actually going to seduce me? So I think one thing a lot of guys are missing in their relationships is keep inspiring the woman.
Or to dress sexy for you, look her best.
What's the word I like to use for this? Inspire her to not seduce you exactly, but keep things to
kind of like make it. I mean, the great thing about fashion is it can be such a, it's self-expression, right? And if you're using it as a way to express yourself, and that's not easy.
Inspire her to actually play into your desire. And that this brings us into we're going in so many directions here, but here's a huge problem that I now understand more. So obviously, OnlyFans is worth billions and billions of dollars, and it hasn't existed for long. There are women who are like posting on that since they turned 18 and shit like that. Who are the guys who are paying for this shit? And from my perspective, they're losers. And why are they losers? They're paying for that because they're not getting that.
Yep.
So the problem is, even like some of the guys who are using OnlyFans, paying women there, some are single, but some are in relationships. So it just makes me think, why? Because I also think, like, why would you masturbate if you're getting laid? Like, to me, that makes no sense. Like, if you're sexually satisfied, you wouldn't really be masturbating.
Right.
But that's just me. So it also makes me think the guys who are in relationships paying to see this Instagram woman wearing bikinis, they're paying for that because they're not getting that in from their girlfriend or wife. So
Right.
what's the solution? We need to inspire our girlfriends and our wives to serve us what we desire. At the same
And I think a
time,
lot of
some
guys
guys do
too.
try to do that, but then they do it in a kind of creepy way, or then they don't frame it right. So the woman is like, he just wants to use me and like put me in bikinis and shit. No, that's a good thing because that's what he desires. So he's going to love you more. And then the relationship is going to be stronger. And if he can do it in a way that makes her more horny in the process, because he appreciates it more, that's how the romance comes
Yeah.
alive and spicy and furious with fire.
I think there's probably a lot of guys too that sort of settled for their girl, knowing that, hey, if I were to work on myself, maybe I could do better, but I'm not going to do that because I'm lazy or I just want, easy sex or whatever it is. And then they end up just not having the inspiration to, try to get their girl to dress sexy because they're just not that attracted to her in the first place. And ultimately, I feel like those relationships die. The women kind of feel that they leave. But I've seen that a ton. Just guys who never sort of make it to that point where they're like, yes, my girlfriend's amazing or my wife's amazing, and then they just settle. Because that was for me. I remember doing that a couple times, like early on in my 20s, and then I'd see another guy with a girl, and I was jealous of her beauty or whatever, and I'm like, I'm never going to be that guy again. I never want to be, look at my partner and be like, I could have done better.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Here's something on my mind. Like this has been on my mind for years, but in the last few days, there's this spike of stuff on social media about Megan Fox. I Googled it like an hour ago. She's 39, and people are like saying she's posting raunchier photos. She's back and shit like that. Imagine if every guy had a Megan Fox, like not the Megan Fox, but just imagine like, and I don't mean like a robot. They just have a Megan Fox, not a robot, not a human, like not against her will or anything. They just have every man has a Megan Fox in their basement. Every man's going to be sexually satisfied.
Sure.
So why are we, I want to say, not why are we not doing that, but why are we not trying to have our relationships in such a way where it actually does unlock our desires instead of, hey, I'm more attracted to this pixelated version of a woman on fucking Instagram or some shit
Yeah.
because she's dressing in a certain way or she's wearing certain things or she has bigger butt cheeks or whatever. Like, hey, to encourage your woman to go to the gym and do some squats or it's
Well, for all those guys who are using OnlyFans for, to get that need met, which is kind of sorry and pathetic, I feel like AI is going to disrupt a lot of that too. So all these women who are using that as their revenue stream feel like are in trouble because pretty soon you're not going to know the difference between, is this webcam girl real or is it just AI?
yeah,
Yeah.
there's a CEO who spent like 50,000 or like $60,000 on an OnlyFans AI model, and he was like kind of furious because he eventually found out it's AI. Like, regardless, AI or human, like, what the fuck are you doing?
I know.
You're
Get a life.
paying just to look at a fucking screen.
I actually interviewed a guy who runs a company called, it's a robotics company. And they're making sex dolls. And they're already infused with AI, so they can have a conversation with you and whatnot. And pretty soon, they're going to be full on, feel like a human, walk like a human. They're going to be a lot heavier than a girl,
The
right?
Megan Fox in the basement.
Exactly. But
Yeah, I imagine millions of those will be sold
oh my
at
God.
some point.
Yeah. Yeah. He's already selling a lot of them, and they can, basically it's just like the head up and talking and other things that can happen. But yeah, I wanted to ask you one more thing. You have kids, or you have a kid? Is that right?
Yeah, one so far. So I have a daughter, which it's such a great thing for frame control because when the media is like, Ice White is an evil person who runs the pickup artist community, that has kind of happened before.
Uh-huh.
I'm like, actually, I'm reforming the pickup artist community. I am in a position.
I'm a girl
I'm a
dad.
man. I'm a man with a wife and a daughter. I'm a girl dad. I'm the best person for this job. What are you doing to
Yeah.
make this situation better? I'm reforming the fucking community. I'm giving fatherly fucking advice. But yeah, anyway,
Absolutely.
she is 5 years old. She'll be six soon. We do want to have more children. There's just an issue currently because my wife has cancer since she was diagnosed at the start of 2023, but there was a problem which pending diagnosis at the end of 2022. She required brain surgery for
Wow.
8 hours awake.
Jesus.
Completely insane. Brain surgery, something like 3 months of radiotherapy, and or like 6 weeks, I think, and 12 months of chemotherapy. So
Oh, wow.
extremely excruciating stuff.
Yeah.
So obviously we could not have children doing like that 1.5 years. In the last year or so, there's another issue where she has something. I failed biology, so I don't know exactly what it is, but there's some kind of non-cancerous thing in her throat, which is responsible for calcium levels.
Hmm.
And you need calcium levels to be right to have the bones of the baby. So we just need an operation in her throat or whatever it is so that it's safe to have the next baby. Like
Oh, wow.
we're very certain on
Man,
like
sorry to
what
hear
we
you guys are
want, of
going through all
course.
that. It's got to be
So yeah,
very taxing and brutal.
it hurts in a way because it's like my daughter's about to turn 6 and like that's quite an age gap. Like imagine a 7 year age gap. And that is in my family because on my mom's side there's a 7 year age gap, but uh my mom and her sister are completely different people. So it's a crazy.
Well, I'm the oldest of four, and the gap is 3 years, 7 years, 14 and a half years. And yeah, and same parents, no divorce. I'm 43, my brother's 28 or 29, and then I've got another sister who's 40, and then another one who's 36. So 37. But we're all very close. And yeah, so it was actually funny enough. My sister, who's closest in age to me, we were always very competitive growing up, and I would bully her, of course, and be the older brother asshole. But when my next sister came along, who's 7 years younger, she quickly sort of figured out, hey, if I align with Robbie, he's the bigger, tougher, better, better partner, and then we can team up on the middle sister together. So my middle sister got it from both of us, and the 7 year age gap, me and her are very close as well. So don't let that stop you, I guess. Which obviously it's not, but yeah, wishing your wife a speedy recovery, and hopefully you guys can move past all that stuff. That sounds rough.
She couldn't even fly anywhere because the doctors said the cabin pressure would be too much for the brain and stuff like that. So
Wow. And
we
this is all
had
happening in
our
Peru.
prison time. We were stuck in various places actually. So in like 2020, I moved to Peru in 2019 for 6 months, and I got married in Peru the first time I came. And I only stayed for 6 months on a tourist because I didn't consider like getting a residency or anything at that point in time. And then we moved back to Europe, and then we got stuck in
Where's she from?
England. She's from Peru.
She's from Peru. Okay, you guys met in Europe and then went back. Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got stuck in England because of the pandemic. So my daughter was born there. And quite a good location, actually. So that's a fascinating thing.
Yeah.
And then we went back to Peru because there had been some deaths in the family on her side and stuff, like her uncle, her grandmother, and various others. And of course, they never met their granddaughter or whatever my daughter is in relation to other family members. So
Hmm.
we went back to Peru for 6 months, and I wanted to get residency, but I just kind of stopped myself for some reason. And I was like, let me give Europe one more shot. And then I went back to Europe again, and we got stuck in Spain. So we were stuck in Spain because of how the pandemic was. So we had to live in Spain for a while. That was a funny thing. Just like living in these Airbnbs. And then we went to England, and then I started this job again, a new career, which was a lot of work, but I loved it. I could handle it, but most people would have found it stressful managing multiple buildings. I found it fun.
Property management. That can be a thankless job sometimes, but the money can be good. I used to have a bunch of properties on Airbnb in different cities. You're just constantly putting out fires.
Yeah, there were like dozens upon dozens of office spaces I was responsible for on the same street. So
Oh, okay. Well, that's
a lot of
better.
work, like not a minute to yourself or anything like that. But that's I like it. I'm that kind of guy.
Yeah. A lot of people
I don't
skills
like taking
involved.
breaks,
Right.
really. Yeah, exactly. So I loved it, but then I started that in September 22, and then when December 2022 came, it's really just a matter of weeks, like barely 3 months. My wife got a stroke, and then I had to like go visit her at the hospital out of work, leave early, and then I had to constantly take her to hospitals and stuff like that. And so they bumped my pay, and things became kind of horrible, and I wanted to leave because I was like, I need to be with her at these hospital appointments and stuff like that. But at the
Hmm.
same time, like these guys need me. And then there would be times when I would go there and I would be like, why am I even here? I'm kind of like selling out my own family for a paycheck. And like they could just like easily replace me. I know it's a lot of work and stuff, but um this is just how careers are naturally. And yeah, eventually I traded that for AI, and they wanted to get rid of me because I wasn't there enough as they needed me or needed someone to be because of the huge demand. So they kind of wanted to get rid of me. Things were getting kind of high in tension. And then within a matter of days, I scored a contract with an AI company to make message game AI happen in the first place. So MGAI pretty much saved me in terms of income,
Mm.
and that was a turning point. So I could actually breathe. I could be at home, take
Yeah.
her to appointments, have everything on my terms, my schedule, and a lot of hard work still needed, of course, doing computer stuff. But I had no reason to be in Europe anymore. So I was just like, let's move back to Canada. But my wife had never been there. Her visa was not even looked at. It was like over a year, and they didn't even like accept or reject her visa or anything. So I had to go alone with my daughter and leave my wife behind in fucking Europe
Oh, wow.
for a while, for about a month. And
To get
then I
her
was
over, basically.
yeah, well, it was just gonna be a tourist visa because we're only gonna visit for like 1 month
Right.
and prepare to move there. And then
My wife and I had a similar ordeal with because she's from Ukraine and I lived in Ukraine for 4 years. We met there. We left Ukraine right before the Russian invasion in 2022, and we were waiting for her fiance visa to the States, but that was delayed because they shut down the embassy. So we were basically nomads in Europe and Turkey for about 6 or 7 months until they finally rescheduled her interview in Germany, and then we came over and we've been in the States ever since. But it's yeah, I mean I've heard Canada is a tougher entry than the U.S. even.
yeah, because we had to apply from England, and because nobody applies from England because there's like a ETA or something system. Like people in England don't need a visa. They just need like a softer version of it.
Yeah.
So there's no like team to look at it. So they get like very few visa requests from England, so they just never fucking look at it. So that was the problem.
Yeah.
And that because she couldn't leave, she couldn't fly anywhere. She was stuck in England, so I had to be there because of the cancer thing. And as soon as her treatment was finished for the time being, I was like, I'm not waiting around in this fucking depressed country of England anymore. I'm gonna fucking leave. It's expensive as shit, depressing as shit. Well, other
Food
people like I
sucks.
find things fun. Food sucks. No seasoning on these fucking chicken things. Um,
Everyone's got bad teeth.
yeah, exactly. No, yeah, like I pay for a dentist here. It's so fucking cheap. It's like 25 bucks per tooth, and it's way better
Yeah.
than anywhere else. And yeah, just gave up and moved to Peru and to pivot to moving to Canada. And then she applied for a visa from Peru. And then within a matter of like 2 weeks or something, it got approved. So it was like, fuck you, England. Goddamn
Yeah.
it. So then I finally got her there. But then there were issues like getting her to stay long term and stuff like that. So we just made the decision to stay in Peru. It's cheaper here anyway and stuff like that.
You're in
So
Lima?
yeah, Lima, Peru.
I like it there. I've been to Lima twice. Um, they've got that cool mall that's like built out into the cliffside over there. That's
Oh, Lacrimar, yeah.
yeah. Yeah, that's the
It's a pretty funny one. Yeah, like Peruvian engineering is shit, but they did one thing. Maybe they weren't Peruvian engineers. Maybe they just had a bunch of Japanese people come over and just do that, and everything else is Peruvian. But yeah, it's kind of funny. Like there are some really good, impressive places, like really well taken care of. But then you look at everywhere else and it's kind of like, oh, this is done very good. Like, who designed this fucking crap? Like roads are a mess and shit like that.
It's a big city. I remember we went to this big park that had like this water, like lights and water that would
Circuito
happen.
de las Aguas Mexicanas.
Okay.
It's pretty much in the middle of the
Yeah,
city.
that was
Yeah,
pretty
that's
cool.
like the one place to go if you're a tourist. It's not really a tourist city. It's a
Right.
city of restaurant. There's nothing immediately obvious tourism wise. That's like the one place, but everything else is food. The best restaurants in the world are in Lima, Peru. It's
I
including the
agree.
number one.
We went to like 3 or 4 Michelin star places there, and they were cheap and like amazing. So
Yeah, I try every Saturday to like I got a bucket list of like random restaurants just because they look interesting. Some are like random Americanized places which are like kind of normal. But I just go there because of a bucket list. Some are like more high end.
yeah.
And then every Saturday I just try to go to one of those on the list.
So where can, guys who want to like get involved with Game Global, grab your AI messaging stuff, where can people find you? What's the best sort of entry point?
I'm very easy to find, so for marketing reasons, that always helps. But YouTube, Game Global, Instagram, Ice White Official. You can also find me on Facebook. I'm super active there. I'm posting every day on Instagram, but like I just post and then pay attention elsewhere. I don't pay attention to Instagram really. Facebook, I'm actively posting there. Telegram, I'm running hundreds of fucking groups. Ice White Official there. GameGlobal.net is where you'll find articles we're releasing every single week from the most random things like anal sex guide or sex statistics, how many guys are actually getting laid doing day game compared to other types. The most random things like we do so many things. We got game maps. So if you live in Los Angeles, for example, you can go to gameglobal.net/maps and there's a map, game Los Angeles map of date locations, clubs for night game, day game areas, and stuff like that. Um, for many cities. We just got lots of random fucking resources just because I thought it would be a good idea and worth putting my time into in the last few years. So yeah, so much exciting stuff that you could look into on that one website alone. It's very interesting.
You know, it's funny. I actually developed an approach tracking app. Um, Let me share my screen. It's not monetized or anything. It's just the guys in my group who use it. It's called datingtrackerapp.com. And I've got impersonation skills as the admin, but I'll show you what this looks like. It's basically, let's choose, I don't know, maybe Dylan. He's got a lot of approaches. So we have all this data because what this does basically, it finds your location. So, you know, this is going to show me here. Maybe it's not working because usually you work it on mobile. So it geolocates you, and then every time you approach, you enter, you know, the girl's name, maybe a short description, whether you got, you know, her Instagram, phone number, WhatsApp.
I'm loving the titles. It says leopard print Asians. That is so fascinating.
And then it creates a database. So you see this guy's got how many logged approaches here? A lot. He's got 550 logged approaches. And then it actually gives you stats. If I minimize this, it should expand the stat count here. There we go. And you can change these categories here. So we can change this to skill. So these numbers in black here, these are par for what somebody who's relatively good at approaching. This is how they should score, right? So like if you walk up to a girl and you're stopping her in the right way, 9 out of 10 times, she should acknowledge your existence and, you know, respond to you, right? If you're walking up to 10 girls and 5 of them turn their back and they ignore you, your score would be 50. And then the next one.
So is that kind of like that black bar? Is that like an average or slightly above average or
This would be
something?
par. This would be what a really good approacher should score. So you can see this guy's stats are, you know, decently close to par. Like he's a pretty good, you know, gamer, I guess you could say. And so this measures like, you know, did he get the contact info? And that, you know, somebody who's very good should be around like 35%, right? Did she respond to the text? Did she agree to the date? Did they go on a date? Did they kiss? First sex, recurring sex? So it kind of allows you to see, you know, at what point in your game where you're coming up short. But I've got stats on, you know, hundreds of guys over the last, I don't know how many years with this data. So I've just been, the guys like to use it because we're, you know, within the group, it'll keep track of who's doing approaches each week. And it's just kind of like a good way to know where you're at with each girl. So you can also put for progress, for status, like either she left you on red, you're icing her, you'll come back to the messages, you're staying top of mind, or you're alive with her. And then these are all the places where he's approached. So you can see he's done it down here in Argentina, somewhere in Africa here, all over US and Europe. So if you have any ideas about, you know, maybe giving guys on Game Global access to the tracker or something, I'm always all ears on that.
In a way, like if I did a version, to me that looks a little too much. Like I used to, before I really got good, I had like Microsoft Office Word 2005, like tracking every woman who I had a sexual romance experience with.
Mm-hmm.
And it just became this whole task. Like after I have sex with a new woman, it's like now I gotta open this slow ass fucking program and like update it and put in random things like we had anal, we did 69 or and shit like that.
You're tracking
My
everything.
con my concern is like there's a certain point when it kind of becomes too much.
Yeah.
I would personally want to focus more on like how many approaches were made, how many ended up in a date, let's say, how many became sexual partners, how many 2+ dates, like second date, third date, and so on.
Right.
And then it could flag guys who have particularly bad statistics, like I said before, 10,000 and 0.
Right.
Um, and then put them into like a focus group where they could try something. And a big thing I think would be extra helpful is integrating on there a page of missions. And it gives you like mission 1, you do this particular thing. And then once you do it next, you got your second mission, and so on.
It actually does that. It's got it's got levels that it unlocks. And the more you go, the more features it unlocks. I was showing you the master version, but at first there's less data, there's less stuff to enter. You have to do at least 5 approaches, and then it gives you access to the next stuff. And then once you hit 25, 100, et cetera, you get more unlocks. But the biggest value add for my community is there's a little bit of a gamified nature of it, where it tracks, every week in our Discord, whoever does the most approaches, it'll say like, Dylan did the most approaches, he did 20 this week. And then James did 15, this guy did 10, and these losers did 0. So it creates a little bit of a competitive environment for guys to just get out there and do more. And obviously my group is mainly about social circle game and less about approaching, but it is, I feel like the one thing that a guy can do who knows nothing about game, he's kind of a total noob, he can at least go out there and, learn to sell himself. He can put himself out there, become a leader, like you so, eloquently stated earlier. So that's the, maybe I'll kick the tires with you on that a bit more. But dude, thanks so much for coming on the show and sharing your wisdom. And for all you guys out there who are in need of a wingman or in need of, meeting other guys, like, don't do this journey alone. This is not a solo sport. Game is a group sport and is way more fun and is way more enjoyable when you're doing it with the right guys and you've got a cool, supportive group of dudes around you who can help you level up. So any last thoughts or comments from you to
for me, like, I have winged, I've met thousands of guys in the field at events and stuff like that, winged with hundreds of guys at the very least. For me, the main value over time had really become perspective. Like, you could learn something from one guy and another thing from another, and then you just have more knowledge, more ideas, more ways to adapt your game or make your own version. So I think if you do enough winging, then that's the perspective you're going to get. You're going to get lots of different styles of game you're going to witness, and then you're going to understand a game way more than anyone else. It's kind of like, if you care about making money, then it helps having people around you who are talking about making money, who are giving ideas about making money, who are actually making money. So it's the same kind of concept. As for that tracking thing you're doing, if there's already a lot of people using it, then obviously there's a demand for that. So that's a very interesting conversation to explore. And if there's something to be had there, then I'm all for it.
Cool. Yeah, we'll chat about that. And thanks so much for, like I said, coming on and sharing your wisdom. And we'll have to get you on for a round 2, because there's I always like to ask guys about how they market themselves and that whole side of the spectrum in terms of Instagram. And you're very active on there. You've made some awesome videos. And so I recommend everyone go check out your page. And yeah, man, this has been great.
Catch you soon. Thanks. Lots of fun. Bye.
All right. See ya.
Out of all the guys I know, the only ones who managed to consistently win the game are those who built and invested in a high-status social circle. You can certainly approach women and try your luck on the apps if you're a Chad, but those strategies simply don't work consistently to attract top-tier women and awesome friends into your life. But for most guys, the idea of building a social circle can feel overwhelming, so they continue to hunt for women in their usual ways and end up settling for a girl they were never really that excited about in the first place. To avoid this fate, join our community and instantly plug into a highly vetted social circle of cool dudes to network and navigate your journey with. You already know it's hard to find wingmen because the good ones don't stay in the game very long. Many of our members travel together, end up living together, build amazing circles, and even businesses together, both in the West and in many of the best locations around the globe with gorgeous women and low cost of living. I'm extremely careful who I let into this community, but if you feel like you'd make a good fit, you can apply to join. The link's in the description.